Let's discuss your personal development plan. If you don't have one, this is the place for you. If you do have one, but you haven't really touched it since, the end of last year or years ago, this video is also for you. A personal development plan is basically a roadmap for improving yourself. And this is going to be something that is incredibly crucial for you, even more so than like any type of professional development plan you may be or that you may be familiar with or that you've built out, maybe have been on. This one is something that's going to help you for you versus you for an organization. And if there's one thing that I know, anything that you do on a professional side, it automatically pops up. Not pop up, but it's automatically going to reflect on the professional side. So let's go ahead and have a chit chat. Hey guys, welcome to another video. My name is Ola. In today's video, again, we're talking all about a personal development plan. Now, a personal development plan is basically just a roadmap for any area of your life or all areas of your life where you actually want to see some improvement. Now, I believe that it's very important that everyone create their own personal development plan because you are in charge of how you want to be perceived. You are in charge on the impact that you want to provide. You're in charge of you. And it's important that you take ownership in that rather than allowing someone else or some other entity take that ownership away from you. Now, the reason why I create a personal development plan, and we'll call it a PD plan from now on, is because without direction, it's very easy for us to stay busy. It's very easy for us to do work, but we're not doing work that matters, or we're not doing work that's moving the needle or getting us closer to the goal. Or we're doing work that, at the end of the day, it's not going to really impact our growth. And so when you create a personal development plan, I know I said I was going to call it the PD plan, you are essentially giving yourself a rubric or a goal post of, okay, this is the goal and these are the action items that I need to accomplish in order to achieve said goal, at least based off of the information that you have at the time that you're setting the goal. Another thing that I know is that it's really easy for us to chase every single idea on the earth. I am guilty times 10, okay? It's very easy for us to, go after all types of degrees and all types of certifications, thinking that we need certain things in order, like before we do a thing. And I think that a PD plan is just something that'll kind of help us fix our focus. It's something that will help us, kind of rein it in, put blinders on, and at least follow one thing through to completion. And then we'll have the data that we need to decide whether or not we need to pivot one way or another. Now, my plan helps me do just that. It helps me steward my time. It helps me steward my energy, my focus, everything. That way, I'm not necessarily hustling. And when I say hustle, I'm talking about moving really, really fast and going nowhere, or doing a whole lot of things but going nowhere, or not seeing the fruits of your labor. That's what I would consider hustle. Rather, I would like to work in ease, still experiencing of difficulty or challenges or things like that, but it's ease for me because I'm moving intentionally. I have a very clear goal. I have clarity. That's one of the biggest things. I have clarity. I know exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing versus, oh, I think this is the right thing to do, or I'm throwing spaghetti at the wall. Now, again, this isn't just about goal setting, but it's more about just me creating the best version of myself. And I would think that, that's something you're interested in too. Now that we're done talking about me, let me help you with one key thing. And that key thing is productivity is not enough. I know. Listen. Now, the reason why productivity alone isn't enough is because you can be productive. However, you can still be directionless. Development means that you are aligned, and it also means that there is progress. So, development happens when you have alignment and when you have progress, not just activity. The doing of the thing is not key. It's being intentional about what the thing is that you're doing. It's doing the right things at the right time for the right purpose. And so, real transformation, it happens when growth has structure. And so your PD plan is going to give you the structure that you need. Now let's talk about some of the things that I include in a productivity. See, productivity will never leave me. Now, let's talk about some of the things that I include in a PD plan, shall we? So, the first thing is going to be vision alignment. This is the big vision. Where am I headed? Now, this is going to give you clarity. This is very important. If you skip this step, you're going to be moving and you're going to have split focus. You're going to be scatterbrained. You're not going to be able to answer the question, why are you doing XYZ? Because you're going to be all over the place. Okay. So, the first thing we need to do is decide, where are we currently? So, what is current state? Then we need to dream big and figure out, what is our vision? What is the big vision? Where are you headed? Now that we are clear on where we're headed, we need to figure out what are the things that we need to include for skill building. So this is what you need to grow. So when it comes to skill building, this is all about your competence. We want to make sure that we're being very honest about where we are. If you need to do a SWOT analysis, figuring out what your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, areas of opportunity, and even threats, do that exercise as well. But you need to figure out what it is that you need to grow. So, what skills do you need to build? After you have made your list of like what it is that you need to do, like to build your competence, because that competence is directly related to where you're headed and that vision, the next thing is going to be your energy and your boundaries. Now, for your energy and your boundaries, this is the question you're answering is going to be, how do I sustain? How do I maintain my capacity? How do I build up my capacity? These are going to be questions. These are answers. Again, you're working through it. This may require you to do a time audit to figure out, how are you currently spending your time? Where are you currently spending your energy? If you don't know that much about like doing a time audit, I have a video for you. You can go ahead and there should be a card that pops up somewhere, or I'll have it linked below. But you definitely want to make sure that you are auditing your time so you know exactly how you spend your time now versus how you're going to be spending it later. Okay. And then we also need to figure out, like, how am I applying all of this? So I see what my vision is, where I am now, where I'm headed. And then I know what I need, or I have an idea of what I need in order to grow. So I understand what competencies I need to build. All right. Now I'm kind of clear. I'm getting an idea of what capacity looks like for me. So now, how do I apply all these things? How am I going to practice this? How am I going to integrate it into my life right now? How am I going to execute? Now, execution is going to be possibly one of the biggest hurdles you may encounter, because we love to plan, but when it comes to taking action, that is when we kind of, I won't say fail, but I will say we will procrastinate, okay? We will procrastinate. And so you need to figure out and give yourself a plan. How are you going to like either bypass that whole process of procrastination, or how are you going to account for the time it will take for you to procrastinate before you start building up that momentum? So that's going to be how you apply it. Now, the last piece to this step, to this plan, is your reflection time. What are you learning? This is going to be your feedback loop. Every process needs a feedback loop because you need to know how the process is working for you. And so the reflection you're going to be doing is typically daily, weekly, based off the items on the plan beforehand. So when you're reflecting, when you're journaling out, when you're like keeping record of the things that you're doing as far as skill building, maybe scenarios that you've come in contact with that you've never done, and it gives you an opportunity to practice what you're learning. That execution piece, you're definitely going to be, journaling or writing down notes or reflecting on the impact or the cause and effect in all of these situations. This is going to be your PD plan. Okay. I do have a template that you can use down below in the description box that's going to give you an idea of questions to get you started. Make a copy of it and just kind of start writing some things out, figuring out what it is that you need to work on, what skills you need to build out. Answer the questions truthfully to yourself. If you're not honest with yourself during this process, you're going to come into a lot of hesitation and friction. So just be honest with yourself. And it's okay to start from zero, because guess what? We all start from zero, right? Now, let me talk about the structure that I am using now as I move forward in my process with my PD plan. What you see here is going to be what I consider my rhythm. And you will notice that it is on Google Calendar. So, one thing that I use, and let me grab it real quick. So, I use a paper. So, this is what I use all the time, every day. This is with me. When I'm out and about, this is with me. This is my all-in-one planner. I may do a video on it later on in YouTube life, but this is my all-in-one paper planner. I'm very much an analog person when it comes to planning. I need to write it down, right? But I'm not remiss on the advantages of having a digital calendar. And so I also use a digital calendar. This digital calendar is what's going to keep me in check, because I also have my phone with me all the time. So these two combined are great. So these two combined are perfect for my workflow. This may not be the workflow for you. You may have a workflow where you need everything to be digital, or maybe you need everything to be analog. Whatever works for you. But based off of the time audit that I've completed for myself, and I'm very clear on my patterns and habits and things of that nature, I know that the digital and the analog is going to work for me. It has been. Now, let's get to the calendar. So, what you see here is going to be a template, if you will, of my rhythm. Maybe not exact right now, but it's enough to show for you to kind of build your own. So, what it looks like is one, there's always going to be a weekly focus theme or a daily focus theme. In this example, we have daily themed, or we have themed days, right? So we know on Sundays, that's about rest and reset, right? Then we have Mondays. Now, Mondays for me are really, really good content creation days, because Monday, my energy is at the very top. It's the height of the week. I'm going to have the most energy on Mondays. Mondays are also my favorite day of the week. So that's the reason why it works so well. Maybe it's not Monday for you, but content marketing is my focus on Mondays, as you can see here. Now, on Mondays, you'll also notice something here. On Sundays, I don't have anything on Sundays. That is one big rule that I learned through my productivity research and things of that nature, is that it's very important for you to have flex space, right? Sundays, that is not necessarily a day where I'm not doing anything, but that's more of a day where I have more flexibility. I have that flex space. So if there's something I need to work on, but I don't necessarily know when, or maybe it's a project that I want to kind of, I don't know, work through on my own, I can always put that here on a Sunday, right? Whereas I know Monday through Friday and even Saturday, I have a pretty tight, like I have a very clear understanding this is what the focus is for this day. But for Sunday, I can kind of play around with how I spend my time. At least that's how it is now. Again, this is a very fluid thing for me. I adjust it all the time. That's why I said this is simply just a template for you. Okay, so back to Monday. So Monday is my content creation days, in terms of actually recording it. So for videos, I'm likely going to record it on a Monday. Now, today is not Monday that I'm recording, or the date of me recording this, it is not Monday, but I still I have the umption to do this. And so that is the reason why we are here, right? Okay, so next up, Tuesday, we're working with leads, clients, things of that nature. That's my theme day for Tuesday. That's the focus. You'll notice all through here, it has to deal with some type of leads, clients. So down here, and actually we could move this up, quite frankly. But I like to, again, flex space. I like to leave flex space. And again, with the time frames that these are in these time blocks, besides the job time clock or time block, nothing in my quiet time, everything else is pretty fluid. It's something that is my focus, but it's something that is fluid. It's like, remain agile throughout this whole process, because things are going to change. You're going to have unexpected things that occur. Just make space and time for it, right? So Wednesdays, these are special projects. For me, my PD would be considered a special project. If I'm doing skill building, I'm probably going to schedule it definitely on the Wednesday, but then also I'm going to have it on other days. So you'll see here on Monday and Tuesday, I already have it listed as PD time. So that's where I'm currently working on building a very specific skill. And so I work on those lessons right now. Like for this week that we're looking at, it's going to be on Monday and on Tuesday. And so here, build the business, that's Wednesday. I wouldn't consider that a special project. That's just the project overall, but here we are. Thursday is going to be content marketing focus. Again, we have 2 days where it's content marketing. On Thursdays is really where I'm brainstorming and I'm starting to write out like my talking points for different videos and things of that nature. Doing some planning, maybe doing promoting, things of that nature. At least that is the plan. Again, I'm just now getting back into the groove of things. So this is a very this is a fairly outdated calendar, but again, this is the reason why it's a template. Okay. So that's to give you some ideas, here we go. And then Fridays, we have that as a CEO day. This is where, internal projects, we are making sure that we're, cleaning up things, make sure your inbox is good to go, making sure that you're working on personal development that is listed in there. You have your growth planning, like what does the business look like? What are you working on? Again, this is if you are building a business. You may not be building a business, but this gives you an idea of, the type of themes that you can kind of use, right? And then you will also notice that there is build the business there again. So we have content time down here from 6 to 10. I know family knows, listen, I'm trying to be locked in and do this during this time. So if I'm not available, you know why. And then Saturdays, I love to cycle. So I know Saturday mornings, that's my jam. Let me go ahead and get my miles in, please. So as long as I can and as long as the weather holds up, then Saturday mornings you're going to find me on the bike. Not like, yeah, on the bike, like on a legit bike. Yeah. Okay. So this gives you an idea of the type of structure that you can build out. Again, I also have a monthly reset routine. During that monthly reset routine, which I'll be doing here soon. All of this here, this may all change. Like these days may no longer be here. My quiet time, that is for me, that is something that I do pretty like often. Like I know no matter what time I wake up, I know that's going to be one of the first things that I do. So I tend to keep that in there. And then you may even see, I didn't even scroll down. You may even have additional things. So nighttime routine, this is my journal and check-in time. So here, journal, check-in, period. Like before I go to bed, I need to go ahead and get all my thoughts out my head. Otherwise, I'm going to have some very interesting dreams. So let me get all my thoughts out of my head on paper, and we can go from there. Okay. But yes, again, a weekly check-in, and I would definitely, that's part of that reflection piece of the PD plan. You also want to make sure that you have flex space. So don't schedule every single minute of your day, but just make it make sense for you. But then also commit to the times that you've blocked off for certain things. Don't just put it on the calendar to block it off and you still don't do anything with it, or you just go do whatever you want and not what you told yourself you was going to do. Okay, let's make sure we do that. Okay, right. So now that we've talked about, the digital plan or the calendar, using your calendar to create some type of structure and things of that nature. Now I want to kind of go through some tools that I use to stay consistent. And it's a perfect segue too, because one, I use my Google Calendar. So I'm like on my phone, you're going to have the Google Calendar, right? So that's very important. And then I also have my planner. In my planner is my PD plan. But then the next thing you're going to need is not need, but one thing that I have that I found to be very helpful is a commonplace notebook, or, just notebook. Now I call it a commonplace notebook because all of the lessons that I learned, I put in a notebook, and I like to have everything neatly in one spot. So like, for instance, one of the things that I am going through right now is I'm going through the Lead Like Jesus book. This is a great, great, great book to read when it comes to leadership lessons. Um, and so what I do is I take it chapter by chapter. And as I'm reading it, I'm taking notes. I'm a very visual note taker. Um, while I'm not the best drawer in the world. I like to doodle. I like to, make squares, make columns, and things of that nature. So my commonplace notebook looks a little bit like this, um, where I can actually go back to it and honestly teach a lesson from my notes because of the way that I've written my notes. So I call it, I think it's called a commonplace notebook. But basically everything that you're learning, things that you're learning, stuff, things like that, you're going to put in a notebook. And instead of having it all scattered around all over the place, just pick one notebook. And until you fill that notebook up, that is your commonplace notebook. This is actually a Sterling Ink notebook as well. I really like their notebooks and their common planner. So, very simple. I think it's very important that you keep things as simple as possible because it lowers the barrier of entry to actually do the work. It's also going to help with reducing a lot of friction that we come in contact with when we're trying to build up momentum, when we're doing something that's new for the first time, when we are doing something, it may not even be new, but it's something that we're getting back into and we're just trying to be consistent. Lower the bar and get rid of all the bells and whistles. You just need a notebook and a pen or pencil. That's all you really need. And your phone, because your phone can have your calendar on it. And it also helps you where you're less distracted because if you do everything that's digital, whether it's by your phone, by an iPad, by a laptop, whatever the case is, you're going to be more distracted. You're going to be less apt to actually work on the thing that you need to work on. So you want to make sure that you're doing the best that you can to reduce overwhelm without putting yourself in a bind. The last thing I want to kind of talk about is that reflection piece. I know we already talked about it, but I want to double down on it. It's very important that you put this into your routine. You need to have a space for you to, like, reflect. How was today? What made today great? What made today not so great? How did you set yourself up for success today? How did you set yourself up for failure today? Those are two very important questions that you want to ask yourself. Also, journal about any type of drainers that you may come in contact with or any energy boosters that you may come in contact with. That's all going to help with your personal development. And then it also allows you to look back so you can realign, readjust, pivot if you need to. Um, and then you want to have your monthly check in at the end of the month. And I may do this in a future video, but at the end of the month, go ahead and look and see what your progress was like. Um, Having a planner also allows you to do like a tracker too. So like you can create your own tracker. I don't have a tracker because I do journaling and reflect that way. So I don't need a tracker. But if I was going to have a PD plan that involved like, let's say, fitness, I would definitely do a tracker that way, tracking what I eat, tracking how I sleep, tracking what workouts I do, what workouts I don't do, all of those things. So, again, this was just a really great overview of why you need a PD plan and how I create a personal development plan that sticks and actually works for me. Hopefully, you found something helpful in this. Let me know if this helped you the way that it helps me. Put a comment down below. And if you found value in this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for future videos. I'll talk to you all soon. And don't forget to fix your focus.